Today, we're going to talk to a real estate investor who built a residential portfolio of 40 units worth over $3 million, all with just $25,000 and using the BRRRR method. He's going to share with us how he did it and how you can too. My guest, Richard O'Neill, coming up.
Welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing Podcast, your source for real-world strategies focused on creating long-term wealth, cash flow, and financial freedom through real estate. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful real estate investors and thought leaders, we provide you the tools to succeed and to reach the lifestyle you always wanted. And now, your host, Dwaine Clarke.
Hello and welcome back to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing Show. This is your host, Dwaine Clarke, and today we have Richard O'Neill. Richard is a real estate investor and owner of Fleming Properties and Fleming Project Management. Richard, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And how you doing, my friend?
I'm great. How are you, Dwaine?
Looking forward to it. Really excited to kick the week off with a brand new interview with another real estate investor. And one thing I always kind of talk about is shows that we've interviewed so many investors all over the country. I love talking to people in different counties, different states to kind of get that kind of experience, boots on the ground experience. So people that are also interested in investing there have all the knowledge that they need to take action. Before to kick things off, I understand that you're in Delaware County, PA. Can you kind of talk about a little bit about your journey, how you got started in real estate, and a little bit about your current focus?
Yeah, so Delaware County, just outside of Philadelphia. Philadelphia Airport's pretty much in Delaware County. So, it's about, give or take, 45 minutes from where I live now and where I grew up. Started back in 2016 and bought my first property in August of 2016. And it all I had been learning about real estate through college and just trying to learn as much as I can because I grew up with a construction background. I worked construction. My dad had a home building company when we were growing up. So I knew I wanted to work for myself. I had the background in construction, and one of my favorite concepts in college was finance. So it all kind of worked out really well to lead me to real estate investing. My wife, who I've known since we were 3 years old, but we started dating in college. She knew how into this I was, and we were actually on our honeymoon. I was talking about I've got to go back to work, and not all that excited about it and all that. She said, "Why not just go get started? Go, quit your job and go start investing in real estate." So that's what I did. I got back from our honeymoon and put in my 2 weeks, and a couple weeks later bought my first property, and here we are.
Wow, just like that, the wife just says, do it, and that's all you need.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, the women, the women in our lives solve all these problems for us, right?
I don't know where I'd be without her. She is, and I usually hear the opposite story where the significant other isn't on board. So I'm really grateful to have her in my life.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing, is having that support system. So it's kind of nice to have that in your corner to kind of propel your endeavors. Can you kind of talk to us a little bit about the marketplace, the economical jobs, all of the kind of opportunities out in Delaware County for people who are not familiar with it, kind of get a leg of the lamb to see how it is for you as an investor there?
So I would call it on a letter rating scale, however you want to call that, I would rate it somewhere high C, low B area. My purchase prices are generally well under 75 grand. So, relatively inexpensive. It is close to the city. All the public transportation runs right through there. Plenty of jobs being that close to the city, that close to the airport. So all that, it's probably a mid to low income area. So, we have relatively affordable housing. We don't personally do any subsidized housing at the moment, but there is a good mix of that within the market.
Can you kind of talk about your first deal? You mentioned right after your honeymoon, you went straight into investing. From just read through your bio and kind of talking beforehand that was this your first BRRRR strategy that you implemented on this property? Can you kind of
Yeah, so
describe? Yeah.
that's what kicked it off. So we bought that one for about 25 grand. That was my first and only purchase out of a bankruptcy sale, which was a little bit different. I haven't seen another one of those yet, but it was basically one of those things where they had already gone through the court and they were just liquidating assets. And we threw them a number, and at the time, there weren't really many other offers. So they just kind of took it. We got it for over half off of the listing price. So that was kind of a nice little deal to step into. We put probably another 25, 30 grand into it. And then got it appraised. I think at that time it was worth about 70,000. So we were able to pull all of our cash back out. And I say I had partners in that deal. And most of my deals I had partners in. So we pulled our cash out of that deal, went and bought another one later that year, and kind of rolled it from there.
And as far as, can you kind of take us through, you had experience with your family as far as construction and things like that. How that rehab process went for you? Was it kind of like a short time window, and then was it a multi-unit where you can be able to, was it 2-3 units where then you put the tenants in there so you can then cash out and then go on to the next project?
So most of my deals are single family. That one again was a single family. I actually did with my own two hands most of the work on that one, because it was my first deal. I had no cash. I had to kind of scrape it together. So that one just worked out that way. After about my third deal, I made the decision that I was never going to swing a hammer again because I'm not, I'm kind of a jack of all trades, master of none type of guy. When it comes to rehabs anyway. Then the time that I was spending on that job, it took me so much longer to go find the next deal after that was done. It just wasn't the best use of my time. Had to do what I had to do at that point in my career, but once I had gotten a couple under my belt, I decided that wasn't going to be how I did it moving forward.
And then you found these subsequent ones. Was it through any other specialized marketing? Is it just relationships with brokers? How did you end up finding your next couple deals?
So shortly after I got that first deal, I went and got my own license. And for a couple of years there, I was able to find a lot of deals on the market. I think it was still a lot of some of the REOs from the recession were finally hitting the market because they were some of the lowest price. This is my theory anyway. They were the lowest price on the bank's balance sheets, so they just didn't deal with them until many years later. So they finally started hitting the market around us, and so that's where I was able to pick them up. And having my license, I could just go in on my own schedule, make an offer, and move that way. And actually, a lot of times that was what got me the deal, was because they knew I was at least had some sort of expertise, whereas some people were working with an agent or something else. They were dealing directly with me. So for a while there was just me on the MLS buying stuff. Then I guess it was 2018, middle of 2018, somewhere in there, the whole script kind of flipped over, and anything that was on the market at that point was no longer a good deal. And so I started finding all my deals from wholesalers. And I haven't bought anything off the market since probably middle of 2018. I still carry my license, but same thing. It's just, the market's kind of completely turned around since then.
Yeah, just pretty much just kind of, watch it. Of course you have your investments, but just want to be smart about different things and running the numbers. Do they make sense to move forward, and just kind of, quietly watch the market and see where everything is, where a good opportunity is. So that's really good to hear that. And as far as kind of your future plan, I understand you also have a construction project management component as well. Can you kind of tell us about your latest venture?
Yeah, so I am up to 40 units now. I was pretty happy with that number. We actually, since the market's so hot, we started selling off a couple of properties because we were able to cash in on some of the equity. Um, Refinancing too, trying to take advantage of low rates. It's a crazy time.
Mm-hmm.
But since it is so hard to find deals right now, one of the things that I've wanted to do for a really long time was start a project management company for real estate investors specifically. And, doing enough of these things myself and managing the projects myself, that, and anyone that's listening that has a little bit of experience with contractors knows that that is like probably the biggest heart or the biggest struggle that you're going to deal with in this industry, unless you're buying turnkey, because contractors, if they're good enough to answer your phone and have all their paperwork and everything, they're too expensive. But if they're cheap enough to actually fit into your numbers, they're a nightmare to manage. So I wanted to build a company that could kind of bridge that gap and let investors take advantage of some of the less expensive labor, but not have to manage it all on their own. And obviously, there's a bunch of other things in there that we do differently to really carve out our niche in working with real estate investors. But that's one of the biggest ones right there, is that we're trying to put those pieces together. And by subcontracting all the individual pieces, then we find that we can give a better value to our clients, our real estate investors, which allows them to do exactly what I was looking for in that first, or I guess the third deal there, to spend less time working on the projects, so that they can be out doing the hard work of finding the deals and getting the money and putting it all together.
Yeah, if you think about it as a real estate investor, you got so many different elements of the deal. Finding it, figure out the financing, partnering on it, and of course now they have the project. Oh, what do we do with that? And me, when I started out early as in the house flipping business, that was one thing. We're finding a reliable contractor team that understood kind of what we did was quality, time, efficiency, and of course budget, and friendly to the budget. And then of course you having the experience of actually doing it, it is a better fit, because now you understand what real estate investors are going through compared to someone who just kind of does remodels for residential houses or something like that. So it's definitely key to kind of have that synergy there, and then kind of so people can really focus on the bottom line as their money, and and getting in and out of projects. So that's really cool to hear.
I mean, I really wish I had this company back in 2018. In 18, I did 19 properties I bought, and my only cap there was the fact that I was managing all the projects myself. And at one point we had 5 projects going, and I'm trying to do that and find properties and line up the money and do all these things. And it slowed me down. So if I could have had someone managing the projects for me at that time, I could have done 30 that year. I mean,
exactly.
Now it's so hard to find anything that makes any sense as far as numbers go. Then it's just, I can't even get the deal flow to put that picture together. So that's one thing that we wanted to deliver to real estate investors, was free up their time so that they can do some of the highest payoff activities.
Absolutely. And then I meant to ask this question before. It's kind of like how you had structured some of your deals. You had mentioned that you do some JVing and things that you did on your own before. You kind of talk about how you was able to structure that, and kind of the benefits of partnering with others.
Yeah. So first deal I actually did with my dad. So he's a partner of mine in a couple of deals, and we just set it up so that he was kind of the money side of it, I was the management side of it, and we take a split, and it worked. It was a great way to start because I didn't have all the cash. Like I said, I only had 25 grand cash to start. So that was important. I've done hard money deals where I'll buy it with hard money, put a little bit of cash down, and then manage the rehab, get everything up to snuff, put a tenant in it, and then refinance out of it. So I get the hard money paid off, and sometimes even I get a little bit more cash pulled out on the refinance. And now I've got a property that I put very, very little money into, that I got all of that money back. And, I never had to really put very much out. And now I've got it basically for free, which is kind of the power of that BRRRR model, the buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. And I can dive in a little bit more on that if you want me to, but that was one way. I've used private lenders before to do basically the same concept. And that didn't start coming until I had a lot more deals under my belt. And I could say, look, I've done this 25, 30, 35 times. This is just another deal. It's just a different way of setting it up. And those deals I can often get with putting no cash out of my pocket, and generally pay a little bit less on the rate and all that. So lots of ways to do it. I try to tell everyone that is looking at getting started in the BRRRR process, you don't necessarily have to have all the cash to get it done right away. You may have to give a little bit up as far as either interest rate or equity percentage, but I found that the key was just getting started. Just do it.
Yeah, I love that strategy. Again, it's like just all about kind of having that mindset that this is what you're going to do, and then kind of figure out the avenue to get it done. You chose multiple levels of JVing, hard money, private money. So it's really not the barrier, is just finding out the way to get it done. Which you have done, several times. So I really appreciate that. If I actually answer my next question too as well. So just kind of going to the next section, kind of love to kind of, learn about the inner workings of you, kind of how you structure your day and be able to get so much things done. Can you take us through what's a typical work day for you? And do you have any special morning routines?
Well, so I do work in my home office here. Actually my niece, my wife watches my niece twice a week, and she's sleeping in the room right there. So I don't, I work right out of home, which is kind of nice now that everyone understands what that looks like with COVID.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm usually up pretty early. I try to work out a couple times a week at least. So that usually starts around 6 o'clock. My kids are usually up by 7, so I want to try and be back showered and ready to hang out with them. I've got 2 little kids. So do breakfast with them. I have my morning call with my project manager at 8:13 every morning, or I'm sorry, 8:17 every morning. So I'm in my office by then. I usually, my project manager and I both use Intention Journal. I don't know if you've ever seen this one by Brandon Turner. I've used that for probably about a year now, and I stopped for like 2 months just because I forgot to order a new one, and I felt lost those 2 months. So if you've never used it, it's a really powerful tool. It gives you weekly action weekly planning, kind of setting weekly priorities on a 90-day goal, and then you can break it down to daily from that weekly. And then on the daily page, you can see I have my whole day scheduled out over here. Here are all my goals written down. I do this every morning to put it all back in front of me.
Awesome.
So
that's
really my morning. And then different days bring different things. Right now, again, my focus is growing this project management company. And if a really good deal comes across my plate, I'll take it on. But at the moment, most of my focus is on the project management stuff.
Awesome. And then as far as you have your communication with your project manager using, you guys are using the journals, and any other tools or resources that you guys use to make your day more productive?
Let me think. That daily call is really critical for us. I learned that from, I'm a member of an organization called Entrepreneurs Organization, and started as YEO, Young Entrepreneurs, now it's EO. So one of the founders of that organization wrote the book Scaling Up. His name's Vern Harnish. So I learned the daily huddle from reading that book, and it's just been awesome. You go through about 5-10 minutes every morning, and we talk about, we start our meeting with what we're grateful for, What we have going on today, just a 30-second recap of the highlights. Out of those things, then the next step is out of those things, what's the most important? If you could only get one thing done today, what would it be? What are you stuck on? Whether or not the other one can help out with that is irrelevant, but at least speaking it lets you acknowledge it. And then we track a couple of metrics that we follow, like job schedules, how close to on schedule are we, how close to on budget are we, and we just quickly review those things. And then if we need to dive into something, we'll stay on for another 5-10 minutes, or we'll reschedule for later in the day to talk about something specific. But just checking in every day lets us kind of flag stuff before it either happens or gets done and shouldn't have gotten done or anything like that. We stay in touch with each other so that we can make sure we're utilizing our time as best as possible.
And is that how it prompted to was it 8:17? Is that call? Is that what kind of prompted that time there?
Well, 8:17 is just a random number that if you say 8:15, it might start at 8:18, or you might let it drag a little bit late. But if it's 8:17, it is 8:17. Mm-hmm. And I've got I've got an automation in my phone set up that 8:17 it dials his number. And if I'm not there, it's going to be listening to me hanging out with my kids, right? So it just happens.
That's pretty cool. What is there? Is an app for that?
So it's actually built into, I forget when it went into iOS, but I have an iPhone, so I don't know. I've got to imagine Android does it too, but it's an automation that lets you, and it doesn't automatically dial it. It gives you a prompt that says run this automation, and it'll dial the number.
Wow.
So rather than opening the phone, going to phone, hitting dial, it's just one button. Not that big a deal, but it makes me a little bit more productive so that I don't get distracted